Hello, all you wonderful Rise of Kingdoms players out there. This is Dragothien here. Today we're going to be doing an Alex Commander Mastery Series guide. I don't know why I haven't done this guy yet on our Commander Mastery Series. If you have missed any of the ones I've already done yet, there's a playlist on this channel. Go hit it up. We've got some of the top used, best used commanders in the game in that Commander Mastery list. Now I have switched it up for 2.0. 2.0 for the Commander Mastery Series, what I'm doing is I'm going over how you can unlock the player, how he's usable in the different iterations of him, like it's 5511, is he usable, that kind of thing. I do go over a couple different pairings, but I mainly focus the Mastery Series on the use of him, why you're going to use him, his role or her role, whatever I'm doing. And I also go over some talent builds, which I show off as well. So I want to quickly go over what Alex is for. He's one of the best in the game. You want to max this guy at some point. The earlier the better. He's usable in KVK 2 and onward. He's a very early usable commander, and that's why he has a lot of value. He also is very universal in his skills. So first off, how do you unlock this giant? How do you unlock this guy? How is he usable? That kind of thing. So first off, you definitely want to max his first skill. It's his bread and butter skill. It gives you, before the expertise, it gives you the 4-second shield at 1200 damage factor. It also puts up a smaller shield for allied troops. That's very nice. Just one army. And then also, that's for the lowest percentage of unit army around him. The last one lasts 2 seconds and absorbs a small amount of damage, 600 damage factor. Okay, so it's a shield for yourself, and it's a shield for the lowest health army around you in his circle of influence. Okay, so very, very important to have and very good to have. He's basically, from a shield perspective, Charles on steroids. He has his own shield, and he gives somebody else a little bit of a shield too, which is kind of nice. Second skill, while on the map, that means he needs to be in the open field or in a rally. Troops led by this commander are immune to all damage reduction debuffs. That's a huge deal. A lot of the garrisons that you're going to run up against, especially in KVK Season 2, have damage debuffs. So you want to make sure that you understand what you're working with, right? And their normal attacks have a 10% chance to deal an additional damage to the target. This is his nuke, okay? And also, on top of the nuke, which is 1700 damage factor. Very, very nice, especially for an infantry commander, right? You reduce the healing effects received by that target by 30%. Again, if you're going up against a Richard, if you're going up against a Wu in future KVKs, if you're going up against a Zenobia, if you're going up against any kind of healing commander, even Wu, Richard, Constantine even has that big heal at the very end. If you're going up against a defensive commander that has the healing talent in the defense tree, that's affected. All of it's affected, okay? So 30% healing effect reduction and a nuke. Very, very nice to have. Now, some say 5511 is the way to go. There's some value to that, right? You get the shield, you get the damage, you get a healing effect reduction. That's really good. I argue that his fourth skill is actually his best skill after his primary, okay? Now, if you're going to unlock him and you're not going to have a whole lot of... If it's going to take you a while, 5511 is fine. Okay, 5511, Alex is usable. I'd say 70% effective. Okay, 70 to 75% effective. The reason being, his last two skills, especially if you're using him with infantry, are critical. So first off, his march speed is amazing, 30% while on the map. Also, his attack bonus, 30% infantry attack bonus, stacks very nicely with a lot of the later epic gears for infantry, which is mostly attack based. And then his fourth skill. This is to me, his best skill besides the expertise. The reason I say this, look at what you're getting. You're getting a 40% universal attack bonus or a 30% defense universal bonus. So when not shielded, you get the attack. Okay, so when he pops his shield, right? This lasts for 4 seconds. So for 4 seconds, the buff you'll receive is the 30% increased defense. After that 4 seconds is over with on the shield, it switches from 30% defense to 40% attack. So at all times, you're going to have either a 30% defense buff while shielded or a 40% attack buff while not shielded. That is awesome, and that stacks with, again, your perma 30% infantry attack if you're using an infantry army. Now, why is he so versatile? Well, the only infantry specific skill in here is the third skill. Everything else is universal. The damage factor is universal. The shield is universal. The attack and defense bonuses are universal. So you can use him as a secondary to any troop type commander and get a massive amount of benefit because, like I said, his best skill, in my opinion, is his fourth skill. Now, when you expertise him, this is where he really starts to shine. Now, he's really good. He's really, really good before expertising, but he's great. He's Alexander the Great after you expertise him. The reason I say that, so not only do you get the shield, you get to also basically do an increase to damage. So during the effect of this shield, up to 3 enemy troops in the circular area take 30% increased damage for 4 seconds. That's huge. That's all damage, okay? Now it says enemy troops in the circular area. So you gotta have, he's got a little bubble that whenever he pops his shield, a big bubble pops up on the screen for you. That's the circle of influence I'm talking about, all right? 30% increased damage for 4 seconds. This guy needs to be part of every murder ball in existence because of just that. Also, again, he does pop that smaller shield for the allied troop, including his own troops. So if you have the lowest, you'll get a double shield, okay? With the lowest percentage of units in the circular area. The smaller one lasts for 2 seconds and absorbs a small amount of damage. So again, that part stays. It's still 600 damage factor for the smaller shield, but that 30% increased damage taken for 3 armies in your area, oh my goodness, that is massive. That's huge. That's endgame level debuff. You need to have that in anything you're doing since you unlock him all the way until right now in the endgame Osiris League and the endgame KVKs. He is a must-have on the battlefield and things like that. Now, what are you going to use him for? Well, he's definitely a great open field commander, right? He does work in the open field. He makes any army that he's a part of very survivable with his shields. He also does work damage-wise with this direct damage factor of 1,700. That is substantial. That is substantial. That's very nice to have. And if that procs off, which does proc off at least once every 10 seconds, and sometimes even twice every 10 seconds, if you get really lucky, sometimes it'll go ping, ping, ping. And it's that crazy. Now, it does have a 5-second cooldown, I believe. Now, it doesn't say it, but I believe there is a 5-second cooldown, but I've seen like back-to-back nukes from Alexander every 5 seconds. Like it can proc off that quickly. Now, it doesn't, like I said, it doesn't say there's a cooldown, but I believe there is an inherent built-in cooldown of 5 seconds. Now, let's talk about some talent builds for Mr. Alex. He is so good. Now, I prefer to use him as a secondary to Guan, a secondary to Richard, a secondary to Charles even, a secondary to basically any infantry commander. But he can be used as primary, and actually in Canyon, a lot of endgame top tier Canyon players are using him as a primary to Sun Tzu, to Mehmed, to Barca even, believe it or not, and having really good results from it. But there's really 2 main builds that I use for Alex. One is if he's primary with a non-nuking secondary, meaning he doesn't have a secondary that does skill damage, or with a commander that doesn't do skill damage. So I have one for each. So the first one that I do, I'll go ahead and open it up here and bring it on over. Let me go ahead and zoom out a little bit before I bring it on over. Okay, so here's the first one. This is his open field, no nuke pair. Now, this means, again, if you are pairing him with, say, Richard or Charles as secondary, or even Yulji has a nuke, Joan or something like that, somebody that does not have any skill damage. The reason this is this way is because of martial mastery. It reduces the skill damage that you do. So you don't want to necessarily have that talent if you have a nuking pair or a nuking secondary commander. Now, this will also nerf a little bit of your primary nuke that we just talked about, that second skill from Alex. However, if it's just nuking that a little bit, it's not the end of the world. I do like the extra damage that you get from the normal attacks from martial mastery, because you're giving up a little, to get a lot of normal attack. So that's the idea there. The other one that I do, and again, it's basically just switching off the martial mastery and putting it towards more of the infantry tree, is this one. This one is if you do have a secondary nuker. Read Sun Tzu, read Guan, which you shouldn't have Guan secondary, you should have him primary, but any skill damage commander as a secondary, you want to take off the martial mastery and you want to put those remaining points up here on the top. So that's the way I've built this primary commander, if you do have him primary. But again, the majority of the time I've got Alex as a secondary. He's like one of the best you can do. I pair him with Genghis in the open field. I pair him with Saladin. I pair him with YSG primary. You can have YSG secondary. I mean, you can do anything with this guy, and that's why I have him as one of my first commanders that you should max when you're building your account. So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this has kind of given you the tools that you need to get Alex up and running. Again, he is a KVK2 commander, meaning you can use him in KVK2 and on. He is usable 5-5-1-1 going forward. Really 5-1-1-1 going forward is just fine, but really his best skill is in something that you really want to start focusing on. Obviously, you can't pick a fourth skill to put your points into, but if you get lucky, is his fourth skill. This one makes him so universal. And then really, again, focus on getting this man maxed. That 30% increased damage to 3 targets in his area every time he casts his main skill is it's exemplary. It's fantastic. It's definitely what you want to have on the open field. And again, he pairs with pretty much everybody. You can throw an Ethelfled behind him. Read YSG, throw everything around him, and he's just that good. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Hope it's been helpful. I will see you guys next time. Cheers. Have a good one. Take care.